Hey, working mom, welcome to Organizing for Beautiful Living, the podcast that provides sustainable organizing, decluttering, and lifestyle tips for working moms and entrepreneurs. I'm ZC Mann, professional organizer with Firefly Bridge Organizing, and I'm here to share simple ideas that don't take a lot of time so that you can love the way your home looks and functions, and so you can feel more confident about your time, and so you're proud to invite anyone over anytime without stressing out about clutter. Ready to get beautifully organized? Let's make it happen. Hey, well, happy Thanksgiving. I'm ZC Mann. Welcome to Organizing for Beautiful Living. If you're in the US, of course, Thanksgiving is this Thursday. In my house right now, we're busy with preparing. I'm preparing for the kids to be home. We're all prepping for the holiday lunch with our family and friends, and then we'll go out to enjoy the city together later that afternoon, maybe sneak in a nap, a light dinner with wine in the evening, and a neighborhood walk. That's my plan anyway, but I'm ready to go with the flow. Okay, I'm here today to give you 10 hacks to make your Thanksgiving easier. And you know what? You don't need a big kitchen to make Thanksgiving awesome and elegant. I found that just putting these hacks into action made the entire day more enjoyable and easier to prep, serve, and clean up. Because I think that we all want to love having family or friends over for gatherings like this, but we just make it overcomplicated. We think of how all the defects of our house are going to make it hard, or that it's not going to go perfectly because our dining room is too small or not decorated enough, or we don't have enough kitchen prep space. All of those things can be fixed or at least made better. And from years of having all these doubts and these doubts causing me not to have gatherings in my house, especially when the kids were little and the house was cluttered with their gear and their toys, I'll tell you that I regret not doing these hacks that I'm going to tell you about today and just going ahead and inviting the people over anyway. I do like going to other people's houses for holidays, sure, but there's really something special about hosting, don't you think? You are welcoming these precious people into your home. You're creating a special space and time for them, and you get to be really creative in your own style, and you can share that with them. You know, cooking a meal and decorating my table in my home is a form of creativity for me. So while we usually follow a traditional recipe for one of the dishes and the dessert, I do love to do something unique, new and creative too every once in a while. So to make this happen with minimal stress, I have a few hacks in my toolbox that I will use if they're needed, and I want to share these with you today. So here we go. Number one, in the kitchen, I use command hooks to hang multiple kitchen towels. So when you're preparing a big meal and you have other hands helping you, which typically happens during holidays, you end up with a bunch of kitchen towels being used, right? Well, instead of having kitchen towels just thrown all over the counters or crowded up on the handle of your oven or your dishwasher, and then they stay wet and gross. Well, if you just pop a couple of command hooks onto the wall in your kitchen someplace, there will always be a dry towel for you to wipe your hands with or to grab a hot handle with. I have one command hook on the window frame just next to my sink. It's a silver one, and I'll add one to the opposite side of the sink too. And then after the holiday, I just really like my kitchen to go back to normal, so I'll remove it. And then I'll keep that hook to use for the next holiday. All right, number two, in small spaces, think vertically for your decor. So if you have a small dining room, you want to maximize the space on your table and on your sideboard, if you have one, for the food and the dishware and things like that. So I really think that in that case, don't put a centerpiece on your table. Instead, look up for a centerpiece. Add some foliage and maybe even flowers to your chandelier or your light fixture. Of course, you don't want anything to be touching the bulbs, and you want to keep it lightweight, but it really makes a striking impression. And the best part is that it leaves your tabletop space available for the actual food and your pretty dishes, so you can really enjoy that with your guests. Number three, in the days leading up to Thanksgiving, plan out your serving dishes and your serving utensils in detail. For every dish, for each and every dish, pick out what you'll serve it in and take that serving plate or bowl out of your cabinet, okay? Then choose which utensils you'll use to serve that dish with. I use Post-it notes to write down what will go in that plate, and I stick the Post-it note to the serving plate. And if I'm serving a sauce, I do the same thing with a little sauce bowl. And with the serving utensils, you can wrap a Post-it note around the utensils, and that will keep track of those. So lay everything out onto your kitchen counters. Don't forget to think about the dishes that your guests might be bringing if you ask them to contribute, because you may need serving dishes for those too, right? And then take a quick snapshot of everything with your phone so you can remember everything that you picked out at a glance. Now, if you have a small kitchen or if you need the countertops to be free for your cooking, then you don't want to leave all these serving dishes out. You can go ahead and put all of the serving dishes and utensils back into their cabinets and drawers that they came from with the Post-its still attached. Then on Thanksgiving morning, you can then refer to the picture that you took, and you can take the serving plates out of their cabinets and you're ready for all the plating. Okay, number 4, prep a dedicated beverage station. You will avoid kitchen traffic jams by setting up something like a small table or a cart with all the drinks and accessories outside of the main cooking area. Now, we use one section of our countertop in the kitchen that's right next to the fridge to lay out all of our drinks, the ice bucket, various glasses and napkins, lemon wedges, any other items that our guests might need. And while we may serve the first drink when our guests arrive just to welcome them, we do want them to be able to get refills and, water anytime without necessarily having to ask the hosts. You're going to be busy with prepping and plating as well as with welcoming and chatting with the guests. So a drinks station will make things go more smoothly for everyone. And your guests are going to feel more comfortable when they know that they can just come grab a drink when they need it without bothering anyone else. Now, ours, like I said, is in our kitchen, but if your kitchen is small, then you might want to set this up in your living room, a corner of your living room or a corner of your dining room. Number 5, use your microwave as a proofing oven. So have you heard of no-knead Dutch oven bread? Oh, you want to look this up online if you haven't. I have a bread maker machine, a vintage one that I took from my mom a long time ago, and it makes, okay bread, but it can't handle a chewy, crispy crusted bread. Now, I love the bread maker, the machine, because I don't want to knead bread dough myself. But I recently found this no-knead Dutch oven bread, and the crust is chewy, it's crispy, it's almost like real French bread. And the dough proofs only once. But if your oven is being used for baking other dishes, on Thanksgiving Day, well, then you can zap a cup of water until it steams up in the microwave. Then you turn off your microwave and you sneak your dough in there with the steam. So it's like a little spa day for your bread. It'll make it rise nicely relaxed and puffy, ready for the oven. And that bread dough, that bread container will be off of your counters and it won't take up your oven time for proofing. Okay. Number 6, double up your oven space with a toaster oven. So on Thanksgiving Day, your oven is going to be booked up, right? So remember that toaster ovens can really be great for roasting vegetables or keeping dishes warm. If you own one, today is the day to break it out of your cabinet. Mine lives in the corner cabinet, the rotating cabinet in my kitchen. I like to keep my daily countertops neat and clear. So I have dedicated a cabinet space to this toaster oven and keeps it out of sight because I don't use it every day. But when I need it, like on Thanksgiving, it's easy just to take it out for the day. So yes, roasting vegetables can be done in there. You can bake cookies, brownies, you can warm up bread. All the while, you're leaving the big oven available for the big dishes or dishes that take a long time to bake or to roast, your turkey, your chicken, whatever else you're doing in the oven. Number 7 is to create a clean as you go space. During the chaos and the hustle and the bustle of cooking, you can end up with a lot of used utensils and bowls and plates. So to make cleanup easier for you overall during the day, and also after the big meal, when you're really tired, well, designate one side of your sink as a clean as you go space. Now, if you don't have a divided sink, then use a big bin. You can fill it up with a little bit of water, a little bit of dish soap, and you just put your dishes in, your dirty dishes in there. Now, make sure everyone in your household knows that dirty dishes can quickly be scraped out into the garbage or the compost tub. And then these dishes can go onto that clean as you go space side of the sink or into this bin that you've prepared. Now, I would prefer that they just put the dirty dishes right into the dishwasher. But this is a close backup because that doesn't always happen. It's going to keep your workspaces clear. And if you need a cooking utensil that's already been used, well, you know exactly where to go to find it. Then you can give it a quick wash and get back to cooking pretty easily. I think that cleanup for me is the killjoy of any party. So a clean as you go space makes this cleanup a tiny bit easier for me, which makes me enjoy the time more. So if your family members and maybe even your guests, if they know where to place dirty dishes and glasses, then your cleanup afterwards is going to go so much faster if you don't have to make multiple trips throughout your house to pick up dirty dishes that have been left all over. Number 8 is to chill your salads and appetizers in the fridge overnight. Now, going back to the serving dishes labeled with Post-its, go ahead and get your cold dishes into their serving bowls the night before. It's one less thing that you're going to have to think about on Thursday. Of course, if you're like me, you might just forget the asparagus and Parmesan salad that I made one year, and I only remembered it 2 days after Thanksgiving. So be sure to take a quick peek at your menu as you're taking things to the table to make sure you've gotten everything out of the fridge that you meant to. In fact, having a printout of your menu is not a bad idea. Tack it up somewhere where you can see it and you can check things off with a pen if you need to, without having to open up your phone when your hands are in the middle of food prep, right? And another tip is to print this menu out in really big letters. Otherwise, you might find yourself like really squinting to see which salad is which on there. Okay, number 9 is to employ your slow cooker for pretty much everything that day. So this is another idea to free up your oven. Think of your slow cooker as a heating drawer. Your gravy can be in here for part of the day, or a soup, mashed potatoes, or even a main dish that you need to keep warm for a bit as your guests are arriving, but maybe your big oven is being used. I mean, once a side dish is made, I'd love for it to remain warm instead of cooling it, refrigerating it, and then reheating it. So having a slow cooker can help with that, can help keep it warm. And it saves you a few steps at mealtime, right? Where you don't have to take it out of the fridge and reheat it. It's there in the slow cooker. You just need to dish it into your serving plate and take it to the table. And number 10 is to ready your coolers. So if you don't have a secondary fridge, or even if you do, and that space just isn't enough because you're having a really big gathering, then you can use coolers to stash overflow fridge items that you don't need on Thanksgiving Day. Because as your guests arrive with their own dishes, you might need your fridge space to keep all that stuff, right? So it's a good idea to move your unneeded daily stuff, things like your condiment bottles, cheeses and deli meats, extra fruit, anything that you don't really need that day, move it into your coolers. And you'll need to have some ice available for those coolers. Think about that ahead of time. And on Thanksgiving morning, set them up in another room out of the way and get some help and just fill them with the things from your fridge that you're not going to be using. And then after the guests have gone, if your coolers are still chilled, you've got to move the refrigerated foods back into your fridge. All right. So there you have it. 10 hacks to make your Thanksgiving not just manageable, but memorable, because it's not just about setting a beautiful table or carving your turkey. It's about having and enjoying those moments of laughter and lightness amidst, all this chaos of preparing and cleaning up and all that, right? So remember, the goal is to make this Thanksgiving so smooth, including the cleanup, that you will want to do this again next year. So happy organizing and an even happier Thanksgiving to all of you. And I'll see you on the next episode.